Welcome in. You're listening to Locked On Now, local experts on the biggest stories in the NHL. I'm your host, Kainani Stevens. Thank you for making Locked On Now your first listen every weekday. Our Locked On NHL hosts are here to help break down everything on Locked On Now. So we'll get things started with Tuesday's biggest game.
The biggest game.
The Sharks found the back of the net 5 times in their win against the Sabres on Tuesday. Locked On Sharks breaks down the impressive offensive performance from San Jose.
Shorthanded Sharks continue the good vibes. I'm JD Young, joined by Kyle Demetrius. Kyle, the Sharks, they arguably don't have their best player, Timo Meier, no Kevin LeBanc. The defense is just a bunch of small children and Brent Burns, but it doesn't matter, does it?
I would like to stake the claim right here that we've said before. Tomas Hertl is the best player on this team. He showed you why tonight. That move ends people's careers. I don't know how Craig Anderson comes back for it, but the guy is an animal. He was on fire. Ryan Merkley should be here to stay. There's so many good things. William Eklund, do not send him back. He needs to be here to stay. So many good things. Please come check out the show because it's going to be off the proverbial rails.
Yes.
That's all I got.
Yes, so make sure you guys check out today's show, tomorrow's show, whenever. Yes, it's going to be hot fire. So you can find us wherever you get podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Odyssey. Check us out on YouTube, and we will enjoy a Sharks 5-3 win over the Buffalo Sabres.
The Red Wings continue to struggle without Tyler Bertuzzi. They fall to 0-2-1 without their star forward. Locked On Red Wings joins us now with more.
Different week, same result for the Detroit Red Wings. They lose their second straight in Montreal, third straight in a row, this time falling 3-0 to the Canadiens. And having Larkin out hurt them, having Bertuzzi out hurt them, that's 2/3 of your top line. Depth scoring did not show up to try and replace that scoring touch. And what started as a pretty good day with the news about Moritz Seider and Sebastian Cossa ended out being pretty poor. Nedeljkovic did play really well. He made 38 saves on 40 shots. He just got peppered. The team got out-hustled, outplayed. No excuses. The Montreal Canadiens have plenty of their own injuries, plenty of their own depth issues. You just cannot go into Montreal with a team that has 2 wins on the season and then give them their 3rd win on the season. 2 of their 3 wins are now against the Detroit Red Wings. This team has got to find a way to play better against the Canadiens, and it just hasn't been there yet so far this season.
Coming up, our Locked On NHL hosts help wrap up our look around last night's hockey action on Locked On Now. Welcome back to Locked On Now. I'm your host, Kainani Stevens. Thank you for making Locked On Now your first listen every weekday. Now let's turn again to our Locked On NHL hosts for a recap of the rest of the action around the NHL.
Let's go around the league.
Another heartbreaker for the Coyotes. They continue to suffer. It's their 10th loss of the season. Locked On Coyotes has more on another tough loss for their team.
It has to end eventually, right? I mean, it has to. This is just getting ridiculous. Everyone, I'm Robin Leoni with Locked On Coyotes. The Arizona Coyotes have lost their 10th straight game, 3-0 to the Philadelphia Flyers, 0-9-1 to start their season, and this is heartbreaking. They are 1 game away, 1 loss away from tying their franchise longest losing streak to start the season. And the sad thing is they've shown signs of improving over the last couple games against the tougher teams. They just couldn't do it this time. Karove Melka, once again, a phenomenal game from the goaltender. The offense just couldn't put enough of an effort to solve Carter Hart on the other side. The 3-0 loss to Philadelphia could have been easily a much closer game. Obviously, it was 1-0 through the first, 50 minutes, 55 minutes. It was a really close game. And the Coyotes just couldn't close it out. They couldn't pull off another 60-minute effort, a full 60-minute effort to try to win this game. Once again, they will have another shot when they go to Anaheim later this week. Let's see if that finally is their first game that they can win. But if not, Seattle Kraken will be on their way to Arizona also later coming up towards the end of this week. We'll talk all about that. We'll break down this loss and talk about what's coming up for the Arizona Coyotes. Where do they go from here? All that coming up on the next episode of Locked On Coyotes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
The Flyers, on the other hand, got a 3-0 win at home as Carter Hart records his third shutout of the season. Locked On Flyers breaks it all down for us.
Russ Cohen here from the Locked On Flyers podcast. Big 3-0 win for the Philadelphia Flyers. Carter Hart stops 29 shots. Karel Vegemelka plays a really good game. Yeah, there was a call that some Flyers fans didn't like on the frozen puck that had no whistle, but in the end, it was the right call. Sean Couturier makes a really smart play. Giroux and Konechny set him up. That's great. Scott Lawton adds a goal. Really good game. Liked the way the Couturier passed over to Giroux for the empty netter. Very selfless. Really good game. Stayed out of the penalty box. Arizona played a really good road game, but the Flyers have to do better, and they really got to move Keith Yandel back into the point on the power play, because Ivan Provorov, it just isn't creative enough. And if you think you're going to beat the next couple teams with a power play like that, I would differ. I would beg to differ. So that's it. And that's it from the Flyers game. Russ Cohen signing off.
The Minnesota Wild started out hot against a struggling Ottawa team on Tuesday night, but the Senators forced overtime in St. Paul before Minnesota finally scored an OT winner. Locked On Wild takes you inside an up-and-down night for Wild fans.
Hey everybody, Seth Topal, host of Locked On Wild, here recapping the Wild's 5-4 overtime win over the Ottawa Senators to improve to 6-3 on the season. For the Wild, they get off to a great start, lead 3-1 after one. The Senators tie it up 4-4 after two periods. Then, despite not scoring, the Wild play one of their best third periods of the season, and we head to overtime. The Wild then able to employ a 3-on-3 combo of Kevin Fiala, Kirill Kaprizov, and Jonas Brodin, as Fiala single-handedly gets the setup on the game-winning goal to Kirill Kaprizov, and the Wild send the home fans home happy. Now, interesting to note that coming into this game, Kirill Kaprizov did not have a goal yet on the season, and Kevin Fiala still stuck on one goal so far. Those two guys played some of their best hockey of the season, and so it was only a matter of time before Kaprizov was able to get himself onto the score sheet. He picked a great time to do it. For more reaction to this win, as well as other Wild news, make sure to check out Locked On Wild wherever you listen to podcasts.
The Dallas Stars fought valiantly in scoring 2 goals in the third period to force overtime in Winnipeg, but they just couldn't get one more across before the Jets won the game. Our Locked On Stars host has more on a respectable effort that just wasn't quite enough.
The Stars are still seeking a regulation win. Hey everyone, Dane here with Locked On Stars, coming to you after Dallas's heartbreaking shootout loss against the Winnipeg Jets. Dallas overall didn't look too bad in their first conference or divisional game, of the season. Matched up really well with this Winnipeg team. Fought through a lot of adversity to come back down 3-1 in the third period to tie the game at 3, go into overtime, and unfortunately they fall just short in the shootout. A lot of good things to talk about. Like I said, probably some of the best fight and best effort I've seen from this team all season. So even though tonight is devastating, Dallas does salvage a point, and points are going to be very important in every single divisional game this season. And there's a lot of good that Dallas did tonight that I think they can build on to find more success on this Canadian road trip.
The Devils fell in Anaheim 4-0 as they failed to score on John Gibson. Locked On Devils joins us now with more.
What's up, this is Trey Matthews of Locked On Devils, and here is my post-game analysis. So the New Jersey Devils got shut out by the Anaheim Ducks by a score of 4-0. It was a brutal game. It was ugly. If I had to describe this game with one word, pathetic. We gave up 2 power play goals and also a shorthanded goal. So 75% of the goals from the Anaheim Ducks came at the hands of our very poor specialty teams units. So it was just an ugly game. We let Terry score 2 goals. We let Getzlaff get the puck rolling for the Anaheim Ducks, and we gave up a very bad backhander shot to Lundestrom, and he was able to just get it past Bernier and also just do a spin around move on Jesper Bratt. It was brutal. It was ugly. That's all I have to describe this game. Pathetic. The specialty teams have to step up. And it doesn't improve my mood that Dougie Hamilton is now on the injury list because he left the game in the first period, and apparently it's a lower body injury. But given the New Jersey Devils' past handling of injury situations, especially with Miles Wood, when they say it's not a big deal, usually it is a big deal. So I'm a little concerned right there. But not a good game for the New Jersey Devils. Just absolutely pathetic.
That's a wrap for us. Thank you for making Locked On Now your first listen every day. For more on the National Hockey League, you can check out Locked On NHL and your local team's Locked On podcast. I'm Kainani Stevens, and this has been Locked On Now.